Hello, good afternoon. Welcome everybody. This is my first post on the Next Play YouTube channel. My name is Andy. And if you look at my prior video, it was a flip vid of my current Blue Note collection. So you can see I have everybody from Andrew Hill and Art Blakey down to Wayne Shorter. So I've just become obsessed over jazz the last 9 or 10 months. I received a record player for Christmas from my beautiful wife in 2018. So I've had about 18 months of record collecting, and I've just kind of fell into the love of Blue Note jazz. So I have a bigger collection of that than anything else. I grew up loving country music and classic rock. For the most part, it's all I listen to. But since I've been collecting records, I've fell into some more rare stuff and got into the folk and the blues. And man, that jazz has really hit home, and I really enjoy the talent level of the Blue Note era from the late 50s to late 60s. And you can't beat it. It sounds so good on the pressed wax, and I keep looking for better and better records and building my collection on that. So, and thankful for my wife, she has been able to enjoy great dinner music over the last 9 and 10 months because we play jazz a whole lot during our family meals. So I'll get started. This video is gonna be about my oldest Blue Note pressings. And I'm gonna show everything I have that's pre-1980. So I've got a lot of Music Matters jazz and some Tone Poets and 80s, Blue Note 80s, a couple of 75 notes, but I'm gonna focus on my early pressings and pre-1980 pressings of older Blue Note releases. So that's what I'm going to show today. I'm going to start with the most recent and work my way back to the oldest one, which will be a lot of Jimmy Smith. All right, so the first one is going to be the Jazz Messengers at the Cafe Bohemia Volume 2. I don't have Volume 1 yet. I'm on the lookout, but this is one of my prized possessions because this is a 1978 Japan release. Japanese pressing. Blue Note of Volume 2, Cafe Bohemia. This is an unreal live performance. This was actually released in 1956, recorded in 1955, and this is the 1978 pressing of it. You got Horace Silver, Hank Mobley, Art Blakey, Kenny Dorham, and Doug Watson. So obviously Art Blakey's the leader and the star here, but Kenny Dorham was huge at this time, and Horace Silver was getting bigger, and then I love everything with Hank Mobley on it. But great pressing of this. Sounds so good. And Japanese pressings have great reputations, and this lived up to it. Next, I have a 1975 pressing. This is the Blue Note reissue series, Sonny Rollins. Now, the songs on here are awesome, and Sonny kills it, of course. But this is from a live performance at the Village Vanguard. Most of these songs, Village Vanguard, 1957. This was released in 1975 with this reissue series that they did. Let's see if I don't want to get into the gatefold and show you the label, but great songs on here. I mean, he plays with some big names as well on here, but he's got Donald Bailey on the drums, as well as Elvin Jones in there with him, and Wilbur Ware. So, Sonny Rollins is the focus on this, and the songs are great. The pressing sounds really, really good, and I was excited. I got a good deal on eBay for this one. So, 1975 pressing. Now we'll work earlier in the 1970s. I got a 1973 of Art Blakey, A Night in Birdland. The Jazz Corner of the World, Clifford Brown, Lou Donaldson, Horace Silver, Curly Russell, and Art Blakey, of course. Nice pictures on the front of this. This is the Blue Note label with the Black B, 1973. This one was originally recorded in 1954 and released in 1956 originally. Again, this is the 1973 pressing. Sounds good. Don't be afraid of those blue label with the black B. I'm not sure. I don't have any of the blue label with the white B later 70s reissues, but that pressing I just showed you works fine. My next one here is the Song for My Father, Horace Silver. Probably one of my favorite jazz records of all time. My brother, Luke, this is actually the song, the title track on this is actually the song that got me exploring jazz. He said it was his favorite jazz song. I listened to it. I went from there, and the sky's the limit, I found out in this Blue Note catalog. So this is the 1971 pressing, which is great quality. Great quality. 1971 reissues of these classic albums are awesome. So if you can find some, you definitely pay a fraction of what the original would cost, and they sound good enough for me. I'm no audiophile. I like the good sounding stuff, but not for $300-400. So got a good deal on this one. Horace Silver, Song for My Father. And he has a good lineup also on this one. He's playing with Joe Henderson on the sax, Teddy Smith on the bass, Roger Humphreys on the drums, and Carmel Jones on the trumpet. And I love this record because it has the smooth jazz that I'm a huge fan of, but it also has that upbeat tempo, Brazilian flair that Horace got from his father and where he grew up. A lot of influence on his music through that. So huge record, and this 1971 pressing is great. My next one is Midnight Special by the incredible Jimmy Smith. This record is a Blue Note, and it was first released in 1961. Okay, 1961. I don't have the original, but what I do have is the 1970 Liberty pressings, which are great quality. I did my research before I started buying, and I knew the ones that are going to sound good. Obviously, there's not the original. I mean, it's from the original analog tapes, and Rudy is the master on it. But, nothing compares really to the originals from what we hear. But this pressing here in 1970, the titles that they did on it sound great. Jimmy Smith, Midnight Special. Next, we have an original pressing. This is Lee Morgan Charisma. This is the artist I have the most records on. If you look through my flip vid, you'll see I have a good amount of him. Spent a pretty penny on some Music Matters jazz, but man, oh man, they're good. So Lee Morgan Charisma in 1969. This was actually recorded in 1966, but not released until this right here in 1969. You can tell Reed Miles wasn't doing the covers. They look a little bit more of a, they tried to be a little more of a hippie look to it, in my opinion, but I like it. Lovely Morgan. The music on here is definitely the hard bop era from the mid 60s that we love. But Sweet Honeybee on this album is just unbelievable. And the lead-off song of Hey Chico is a tune that gets stuck in your head. So great album right here. 1969 original, Blue Note. Next, I have Back at the Chicken Shack with the incredible Jimmy Smith. I love this cover. You got the dog, the chickens behind him, the cool hat. I mean, Jimmy was a star back then. This is BLP 4117. This isn't an original either, but this one is a mono reissued from 1967. It originally came out in 1963, but this is definitely one of my favorite records to put on, just fun to listen to. The title track's awesome, and then he slows it down with When I Grow Too Old to Dream, so good. And then I love Minor Chant, which was written by Stanley Turrentine, and on here you have Stanley Turrentine, Kenny Burrell, and Donald Bailey. Next, we'll move to one of Jimmy Smith's more famous records, boom, The Sermon. This is not an original, but it's a very early pressing. On this record, you have Lee Morgan, Lou Donaldson, Kenny Burrell, Art Blakey. Those are huge names, along with George Coleman, Tina Brooks on the sax as well, and Eddie McFadden. So The Sermon, love the title, love this cover. But this pressing is a 1962 mono reissue. It first came out in 1959. So very early pressing, sounds great, powerful, even on my smaller system. I just love it. The Sermon, Jimmy Smith. Okay, now we're getting down to my last two. And I'm going to show you this one. It is Jimmy Smith at the Organ, Volume 2. Okay, and this pressing is actually not an early one, but I have to do it in tandem, and you'll see. Because I have Volume 2 right here. It is a 1972 pressing on that black and blue cool reissue label. Sounds great. This is Volume 2. And I bought this immediately after finding Volume 1 original repress, actually, 1957, 1958, Volume 1. I didn't have a cover. It was at an antique store here in Georgia where I live, and I had to get it. It sounds good. It didn't look like it was going to sound great, but it did. So it worked out for me. Until I can find a cover, I went and bought the Volume 2 in that good pressing. I keep them together. So those are my last two. So again, I thank y'all for watching my video, and until next time, keep spinning that next play.